Next, we have What 890. So, hello, What 890. I hope you're doing well. And let me see here. Sorry about this. Let me just refresh a little bit. I'm refreshing the page so I can just make it. There we go. That's better. And here we go. Yeah. So, What 890. Your comment is hello. Oh, hey, Daisuke. Love the work you do on this channel. Keep up the great work. Here are the films I picked up that I have already seen. House of Games, Shallow Grave, Grand Budapest Hotel, Raging Bull, Ikiru, Seven Samurai, Pink Flamingos, Punch Drunk Love, Shaft, The Worst Person in the World, Crumb. And here are the titles that are or were blind buys. Drive My Car, Double Indemnity, Emigrants, New Land, Valley of the Dolls and Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, Chimes at Midnight, Breaking the Waves. I watched Double Indemnity yesterday, and wow, that film is so electrifying. What 890, thank you so much. It's always nice to hear from you, and you're very kind with your comment at the start here. And then you go on with this great list of films that you mentioned that you've seen, or then at the time of making the comment you were going to watch or had watched for the first time. You mentioned Double Indemnity there at the end. So brilliant stuff. I want to say you mentioned that great 1-2 combo of Valley of the Dolls and Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, and so that is a great combination indeed. I think I think I've spoken about Valley of the Dolls, for example, on this channel a little bit, and I do like the listening to some of the great classic song numbers, and it's a lot. That's a lot of fun watching that film. It's a lot of fun. Also, it has a great following as well. So yes, I have spoken about that. I think a little bit maybe in the early days of this channel. And also, speaking of which, too, again, so many points to make here. House of Games, well done. Shallow Grave, well done too. That's another film where I watched. I think it was on VHS again, and that was just wow. It's gonna go. The film's going this way, huh? Wow. So that it was that sort of thing when watching it. So. And Drive My Car, that's a very recent release from Criterion, and I'll save my comments for that when we come to the video, and that video upload will be hopefully in the next few weeks. So, but well done, What 890, well done indeed. I'm very impressed. It's always nice to hear from you, and I hope that you're well, my friend. Talk to you again soon. Cheers. Excuse me, let me take a quick drink here. All right, thank you. Pardon me. Next is Ozzy is Thirsty. So, hello, Ozzy is Thirsty. And you say, hi, Daisuke. I'll apologize first for the username. Thanks for reminding me of the sale. I was able to snag Che and A Matter of Life and Death, but in terms of a question, I was curious to maybe hear your thoughts on Once Upon a Time in America, as I noticed you snagged a Blu-ray of it on your Instagram. Although not a Criterion release, I was very curious on your thoughts on the film. I believe it to be the best deconstruction of the gangster mythos, and would like to know which gangster film was your favorite. Ozzy is Thirsty, thank you so much for this, and thank you for sharing with me those Criterion titles. Well done. And also, thank you for your question. It's very timely, in fact, because I think, yes, I'm making this video in August of 2022, and in fact, some months back, earlier in the year, around, I want to say, maybe March or so, starting in March of this year, I did a project on this channel which was called 31 Days of Gangster Films and Police Films from the year 1970 to the present. So the concept was I would be talking about 2 films a day, uploading 2 videos a day, 1 gangster film from 1970 beyond, and 1 police film from 1970 beyond. So I just randomly kind of, maybe not so randomly, but I just chose two films of my own choosing and talked about them, uploaded them for 31 days straight. And so that project is still up on the channel, so if you're interested. And we do talk about, or I talk about, gangster films. And indeed, one of the films that came up was the film Once Upon a Time in America, the Sergio Leone work. So if you're interested, I have spoken about it there. So if you're interested, I can try to leave maybe I'll try to leave something in the comments section or the description box somewhere to just direct your attention to that video. I can leave a link. But it is a film where you're right. It is a kind of deconstruction. I like how you put it. And there is a way in which we see even our quote-unquote protagonist, where we see a lot of the nuances begin to sort of dissolve and disintegrate before our very eyes, and where we see our sympathies become quite cloudy, and there's a series of confusion, and you pile on top of that the notion of how time and space are handled in the hands of Leone. As we know, Leone, one of the great hallmarks of his cinema, is the way in which he seems to sculpt time and space before our very eyes in a way that is both acknowledging its connections with history in a manner of speaking, but also at the same time forging a type of different, almost a type of glowing way in which, and tragic way in which, history is being portrayed, or that portrayal in a poetic, grand sense that cinema can give us. So I will, sorry about that, I don't want to get too carried away here, but I can definitely leave that link to the video where we talk about Once Upon a Time in America. And also, if you're interested, yes, the 31 Days project did occur. So I do talk about other gangster films, so in case you're interested, my dear friend. But thank you so much for the comment and question, and for expressing an interest in what it is I might have to say about a certain film, in particular that film, Once Upon a Time in America. The Leone work. So that's another project too that I really want to try to get to, which is the discussion of the Leone films. But again, we'll talk about that if and when it happens. But anyway, I hope you're well, and cheers. Thank you. Next we have, let's see here. Sorry about this. Here we go. GrillburgerDAQ. So hello, GrillburgerDAQ. It's nice to see you. And you say, "Hey Daisuke, I wanted to ask you a question concerning the physical releases of films. I think a huge plus to owning physical media are the special features. If you were ever in charge of piecing together a physical media release of a film, what film would you choose and what special features would you include? For example, who would you interview? Who do you want to hear an audio commentary from? What film has deleted scenes or an extended cut that you would like to see, etc. And to make this question more interesting, you can obtain any interview, regardless of whether or not they are living today, as well as lost film footage, etc." GrillburgerDAQ, thank you so much for that very intriguing question or set of questions, and also for expressing an interest in what it is I might have to say in response to these wonderful questions from you. So thank you so much for that. I'm very touched by this. And I don't know, that's a really great, wonderfully open-ended, because it's the possibilities are quite limitless, and that's a great thing. So thank you so much for that. I don't know. Oh gosh, what could I do? I mean, you could go so many places. Like I suppose you could go in a number of places. Like I was let's see, what would be an example I really should have given a bit more preparation. I'm sorry for being so on the spot here, maybe a bit too impromptu, but maybe as an example, let's see. Oh, I guess I was speaking to a friend the other day, one example. I was speaking to a friend the other day who is a huge Star Wars fan. And then our conversation turned towards loved the films, loved the Star Wars films, and we talked about the prequel films, and we also talked about the sequel films, and the conversation turned towards the sequel films like The Last Jedi and then The Rise of Skywalker, and they love Star Wars so much. They have so many things, but they just were very not so into The Rise of Skywalker, and so. And we were just talking about the conversation. Oh, wouldn't it be interesting to get we're probably never going to get it, but it wouldn't be interesting to get a real behind the scenes documentary or interview or audio commentary of what happened, because it's a very, I mean, it seems to be anyway, from the outside looking, or not quite looking in, but from the outside anyway, it seems to have been quite an interesting road of production, let me put it that way. So that might be interesting to get a real behind the scenes of what happened with regards to a lot of the things that were reported to have occurred regarding that film. So that might be an example. I think though, if we were to get like, what I really love is I love those behind the scenes that really pull back the curtain and just go into some sometimes quite harsh comments. I really admire those commentaries, or those little discussions. For example, I'm a great admirer of the film Extra. And there is a now icon. I've mentioned it before, but there's one of my favorite supplemental features ever is that one-on-one interview with director Harry Bromley Davenport about Extra, and he just trashes so many things about his own work, but he also is very acknowledging of a lot of the setbacks and some of the things that are going. But now he, but very modest in that way too, and in that interesting way, it's a kind of celebration of the film, and that's the points that he raises in an almost self-mocking way. In that charming way is a type of lovely celebration of the film. You know what I mean? So I really love that kind of approach on the one hand. There are also some great examples too of some real honest assessments. Like one of my favorites is it's not a Criterion release or anything, but it's the Alien films. The Alien films and the huge epic behind the scenes multi-part documentary, the making of each of the films, and you had the little and all the computer layout screen to open it up, and each of the participants were being interviewed. You go from film to film to film, Aliens and Alien 3 and beyond. And so one of my favorites is the discussions on Alien 3. There's another interesting one. And I think that is so great, and I love the stuff in the interviews with Paul McGann, and because he's in Alien 3, he plays a character called Golic, and one of the things about Alien 3 in the production is what was planned versus what ended up happening in the final theatrical release of the film. Fascinating behind the scenes. And one of the aspects of it is how the character of Golic was treated. And you hear and this was the plan of the film, and we're going to do this and this, and he's going to team up with it and go after it. And then I saw the film, and it was completely different. It was a mistake. And then this ominous music and fade out. So that's a great example of that. And then you hear some people trying to justify some choices that were made, and all that. Oh, it's great. So that would be an example of that type of behind the scenes dissection of what goes on with that sort of thing. But anyway, I'm sorry. That's a really terrible way, maybe an incomplete way for me to try to address your great question, GrillburgerDAQ. So I apologize, but really wonderful. I really should have prepared better upon making this video. I apologize, but I hope you're well, my friend, and cheers. Thank you. Next, we have Gerald Lange. So, hello, Gerald. It's always nice to hear from you. And you say, hello, Daisuke-san. My pickups from the sale are the Godzilla Showa set. I have all films on this in format or another, but your videos of this convinced me to pick it up. Plus, it's nice to have them all in one place. I also picked up Shaft, Night of the Living Dead, War of the Worlds on Blu-ray as blind buys, excuse me. They all have stellar reputation cinematically. Lastly, I picked up Vampire to go with my Eureka release of this to have the set in my collection. Love your thoughts and passions for cinema, something we all have here on your wonderful channel. Blessings to you and your family. So thank you so much, Gerald. It's always nice to hear from you. You've mentioned so many great ones here: War of the Worlds, Night of the Living Dead, Shaft, Vampire, and then also you mentioned the great set, the Godzilla set. I have spoken about that before, and while there are, I acknowledge, certain maybe things that could have been maybe a little bit improved upon in my own personal opinion, overall I think the set is quite a magnificent one. I did mention before, oh gosh, what a great coincidence. Yesterday, I'm making this video now on a Sunday. Yesterday, I was making my walk because in my recent move, I mentioned it before, but we live very, very close, within walking distance to Toho Studios. And so I've been walking to Toho Studios maybe twice a week or something. And one of those occasions was yesterday, in fact. And next to Toho Studios, speaking of Toho, because Godzilla you mentioned, and next to Toho Studios, there's a store. It's not a Toho affiliated store directly, but it's just a kind of an electronics store. They also have a corner for toys and video games. And in that toy video game section, they had these dolls and action figures, and one of the action figure sections was Godzilla action figures, or these models or something. And so I couldn't resist. I looked down and I saw, oh my goodness, they have Jet Jaguar, or in Japanese we say Jet Jaga, which has a great theme song, by the way. So you check it out. Jet Jaguar. So Jet Jaguar is part of the Criterion collection, thanks to that great set that you picked up, Gerald. But in any event, Jet Jaguar. Why do I mention Jet Jaguar? It was because there was a little action figure there, and so yesterday I said, I can't resist. And so, right, it's like Christoph Waltz, right, in Quentin Tarantino film. I couldn't resist, right, and so here it is. Yes, I was able to get this little figure of Jet Jaguar. So I just want to put it there in honor of Toho, in honor of Godzilla, Gojira, Jet Jaga, and again, great theme song. Right, Gojira to Jaga, punch, 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 right? Yes. And so, anyway, I'm sorry. I'm getting carried away with your wonderful, wonderful comment. I hope you're well, my friend, and let's talk again very soon. So thank you very much, and please enjoy that great set, as well as the other pickups. So cheers, my dear friend, cheers.